Hello and welcome back to my channel, Hightunnel and Field Tomato Production. I'm your host, Tony Montgomery. Just want to give you an update. I've been a little busy with the blueberries this spring and haven't done many videos on my tomatoes. And these videos are meant to be instructional to help you and to tell you the pros and cons of growing in a high tunnel. These tomatoes I have behind me, now these, every one in this tunnel is a Florida 7514. It's a 72-day tomato. And I've told y'all before, I start off in a flat and then I go to a 4-inch pot. And what this does is this is going to gain you 10 or 12 days easy on your production. So if you would figure 72 days from April the 17th, I don't have a calendar in front of me, you would see that I'm ahead of schedule as far as the seed packet says. Now that's 72 days from transplant. And so I started picking the 24th. I had some tomatoes ripe enough to pick. And I'm in here today. This is Tuesday 28th, so I'm going to probably pick 100 pounds pretty easy. I've got about 160 or so plants behind me. And one of the mistakes I made, and you're going to see this, I listened to another guy on YouTube. Now normally I do the Florida weave. I put a stake every 2 plants. My plants are on 24-inch centers, and so every 2 plants I put a stake. I've gone with wooden stakes for years and years, and they just haven't done very well for me the last year or two, so I went to a metal T-post. And this fellow on YouTube said, well, he just puts his every 4 foot. Well, I can tell you that did not work for me. You're going to see I've got a lot of plants that are trying to lay over, and it's making a mess this year. And I'm normally pretty proud of my neatness of my plants and the way I do things, but it is what it is. I'm going to get the tomatoes off. It's not going to affect anything really, other than the fact that it's going to make picking really inconvenient. You're also going to see some things when we do the tour this morning. Some of the bottom leaves have kind of a strange color. And I don't know how to explain this very quickly other than tell you there's 2 problems that can happen from planting early. Because as you know, high tunnel, you're going to have to zip the sides up, and you're going to get some nights down below freezing even. And the plants go through what's called abiotic and ambiotic. Those are environmental conditions, and what it does, you won't see the conditions very much early on. It does not have any long-term effect, but later on you're going to see some leaves on the bottom have some really strange, I call it mottling color. And you might think it's a magnesium deficiency, but it's not. I've had it almost every year. What I do when I'm looking at a tomato, and I judge the health of the plant by the top 1/3 of the leaves. That's where you're going to see most of your deficiencies. Magnesium, you'll see it in about the middle of the plant. Those middle leaves will be, if the pH is wrong or something's out of balance, all your magnesium is going to go up to the top of the plant, and the bottom leaves will start showing a chlorosis, which will be a yellowing between the veins. Now, I've given these a dose or 2 of magnesium throughout the season, and in general, my leaves look really good. So I'm going to pick the camera up. Let me tell you one thing too. I've got a new one, a new tomato, and I'll do a video on it shortly. It's called Homestead 24. This came out of Homestead, Florida. It's an heirloom from about 1952. And one of the things, the problems with tomatoes, and I guess it's probably in a whole lot of different states, but here in the South, normally we plant outside. I'm in north central Arkansas. You would plant between the 5th and the 10th of May. Well, that works out just fine. They get up and growing, but then as you know, the heat comes. And in Arkansas this year, we had high temperatures early. I mean, way early. I'm talking about the first week of June. I mean, we're getting up in the 90 degrees. What affects the flowering of a tomato plant is high nighttime temperatures, and to some extent high daytime. When the daytimes get 95 and above, or if the nighttime temperature is 75 and above, you lose flowers. And of course that's your crop, and I've gone through that in this variety behind me. Just right now, very few flowers. They have just falling off, and you know, you get the high nighttime temperature and then high humidity. It makes the flower pollen very tacky, and then they just won't set fruit and they all fall off. I've got a decent fruit set now, and when temperatures, if they do cool off, and they will, I actually had about 50 degrees this morning. After all that heat we've had, now we had a cold front coming in. We're going to be, I don't know, 89 today, which will be real pleasant. Low humidity, but it won't last. We'll go back to normal summer temperatures pretty soon. But my point is, with this Homestead 24, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will try to split this video up. I don't know if I can splice it together. I'm kind of busy on time today, but if not, I'll do it in a part 1 and part 2. But the Homestead tomatoes over there are still flowering and look great. Now, they were planted, sometime in May, probably even maybe the 15th of May, 10, 12, 15th of May. And so there's no ripe tomatoes. The plants are doing good. True to their name, they can withstand the humidity and the heat. And the only mistake I made this year, where I've got them planted, I failed to take a soil test. My pH is a little low. It came back, I just finally soil tested about a week or so ago, maybe 10 days. Came back 5.9, which was really borderline, I think, too low. I like my pH for tomatoes around 6.7, 6.8. 6.5 to 7 would be okay, but that 6.7.8, that really seems to be a good, place where you can take up all the nutrients. So let me grab the camera, and we're going to make a quick walk through and let y'all look at some things. Now here you can see where my plants have fallen down. That's my fault. Look at the tomatoes right there though. And I'll do my best to hold the camera steady. You can see the tomatoes. It's a nice bunch right there, some ripe tomatoes. There's some of those. Let me see if I can zoom in down here. I don't know how well this... There's some of those leaves I'm telling you about. Now, they're always on the bottom. And you'll see they're curling. Look, there's my water meter I use to help with my irrigation. But that coloring right there is not at all unusual. There's a few right there. That's just due from some temperature fluctuations. Okay, let me... There's some more there. These are fixing to get picked. My blueberry farm is open tomorrow, which is Wednesday, so I will sell most of these tomatoes tomorrow. Let me zoom up over here. There's a nice, excuse me, there's some tomatoes. Now, I don't know how this is going to float, but let me show you what I'm talking about with leaf color. There's some. There's what you're looking for. The color of these leaves will tell you if you're taking up nutrients, if you're deficient in nutrients. I am not the world's best at reading this. When you have much of a problem, you send them off to a lab. We use one in Memphis, Tennessee, and you pull some leaves off, you send it to them, and they're going to tell you exactly what is in that plant and is it deficient on anything. And I'm pretty sure they will give you some recommendations. But the thing that I say I'm really sad about this year is my not staking these as well as I should. There's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I should have stuck with my original system. Those down there are holding up a little bit. There's one, one or two that are leaning out a little more than I like. So I'm going to end this video for now, and then I'll go down and try to shoot a picture of the homestead.